wanted to briefly share my experience with youth basketball here in Japan and also kind of what the scene is like for youth basketball here as it compares to me growing up in America and what the youth basketball scene is over there. So, I've been coaching youth basketball here in Japan for the past 6 months, and pretty much it's like volunteer work for me, and I've built a relationship with one of the main coaches for one of the youth basketball programs, like a club team here in the Fukushima prefecture, in the city, small town that I am. And it it really has kind of reignited like my enjoyment for the game of basketball. It's nice to just talk with the coach and always talk basketball, something that I really enjoyed doing a lot in the past. And in recent years, before even coming here and getting involved with the basketball here in Japan, it's not it hasn't happened too often where I talked about basketball or go in depth about like my basketball knowledge, basketball history, things like that. And it's nice to kind of, go back to that and kind of share about a little bit about basketball. So I've kind of got back into that, kind of got back into the rhythm of coaching again after taking years off from coaching. And also, it's just interesting to see how they kind of run the system of youth basketball here in Japan. And even though it's not the most popular sport in Japan, there's still a lot of people that actually play here, especially the youth here. There's definitely a lot of youth that do enjoy playing basketball here. And you do have some Japanese professional basketball players playing in the NBA, like Rui Hachimura or Yuki Kamamura, and so it's very uh, motivating for them to see that, thinking that maybe one day some of these kids could end up there in the NBA as well or play at a very high level. And so I just want to share a little bit about my experience and also share a little bit about the youth basketball scene here in Japan. And so basically for like elementary schools here for ages 12 and under, basically, from 6th grade and under, they run what they call mini basketball. And they call it mini basketball because the under 12 basketball programs, the club teams here, they actually play on a smaller rim, and they play at a rim at a height of 8.5 feet. So you do see all these kids from probably from first grade to sixth grade in these after school club basketball teams, and they play in a smaller basketball hoop. So they do lower it for the youth basketball kids, which I found pretty interesting because in America you don't really see that too much. At least I haven't, and even for me growing up playing basketball, I always played on a standard, 9.5 to 10 foot rim, right? And so that was a typical height of growing up for me. So for them to actually have like a basketball system, a national, you know, rules stating that kids playing youth basketball under 12 years in elementary school have to play at a lower uh, rim level, which I found pretty interesting. And also, you have coaches that have to get a license and a certificate to be able to coach for these programs, and they all run under like a organization. So you'd have like the coach that has a license, and it's usually several coaches in a club team, right? In probably like a town or a city. And you have the parents involved, like the PTA, right? You have the parents association that help facilitate of how uh, they want to go with the direction of the basketball program. and they have input and feedback as well, right? And then you also have like the higher ups where it goes from like the city level or town level to the city and then to the prefecture and to national level where there's people in those positions, making rules, making sure that things are run smoothly. If there's any issues, they try to resolve it, things like that. So it's a pretty well-oiled machine that they have here for the youth basketball here. And it's been really educational and very interesting for like the coach to be able to share that. And really for me, I just want to share like the general like structure of how it's run. And so again, you have the coaches that have their license to coach, but they're also obligated to ref as well. So, and usually the refereeing system also has a tier level. So the higher tier that you go, you can actually ref at more higher levels, whether that's junior high level, high school, college, or even professional level, depending on each prefecture here in Japan. So I also found that interesting because usually even for America you have it pretty separate. Like I was really just into the coaching area and not really involved with officiating. Although I do believe there's some coaches that get involved in both, but usually you do one or the other when it comes to like basketball coaches and refereeing in America. Yeah, so you have all these coaches that are licensed that are also obligated to ref, like at these local weekend tournaments that they host, and they host it quite often. I mean, probably like 2 or 3 times a month. Um, and yeah, so these kids would probably practice like 3 to 4 days out of the week after school, and they have tournaments like every once in a while, almost every weekend. And even for these kids too, it's the cost is actually pretty low, from my understanding. And I don't know the exact cost, but basically, you really don't pay for too much unless it's like just tournaments, basically. But it's relatively cheap compared to probably like being part of a travel ball team in America. And if you get be part of a good team, it could get kind of pricey as well. But there's things like donations and sponsors in America too, where you could be able to join a team and not have to pay too much. So that is all possible. But I know with some teams it could get quite costly, and for some players and families that invest into travel ball teams. But here in Japan, they make it more affordable, and they don't. It's not really so much about the money, but the money is just uh, for things to run well, to things like tournaments, officiating, for that to be all facilitated accordingly. And from my understanding, they also want to make it more affordable and not make it too expensive for the kids, so they could get involved in club activities, they could get involved in sports. So that's good. Um, just allowing kids and for them to be able to participate in these types of sports like basketball. And so you hold these tournaments, and you have some local ones, and you have more important ones where you could represent your prefecture. So like they have like prefectural tournaments where like these bigger tournaments where if you end up being like the winner, the best team amongst all the cities in the prefecture, then you could go to the national tournament, which they host in Tokyo. Uh, and you get all 47 prefectures here in Japan, and the best team in each prefecture for the mini basketball programs, they all go to Tokyo and they play in this big wide tournament. And I forgot to mention as well, they call it mini basketball here because of the short runs, but they call it mini bus for short. So that's another thing that I recognize too, is just the term that they call it as well. So with these mini bus programs, they have all these local tournaments that they could participate in, and then they have the big one, prefectural tournament, where they compete who's the best team here in each prefecture and can play in the national tournament. And so sometimes you get the top two, three, four, teams in the prefecture. If you're not number one, they get another opportunity to play in another tournament, uh, and find the best team out of those groups, to get another spot in the national tournament for the mini basketball program. So, of course, you definitely have those as well in America too, and yeah, obviously the more sponsored teams, the teams with the best players, they'll compete at these like travel ball club teams, maybe in like Vegas or something, or at a big city, and they all gather maybe like a couple times a year, once or twice a year, to for these big tournaments where the best travel ball teams play to see who's the best. So it's not that much different here, but it's definitely based on area and prefecture with these minibus teams, and they try to host these tournaments to see which team is the best, and obviously you get at a national level with all the best prefecture teams, and they play it out to see how well they do against the other teams in other prefectures. So, and that's kind of where it ends towards the end of the year, and it kind of follows along with their school year, because the school year really starts in April. So they'll start in April, and that's kind of when the minibus program starts. But there's a couple months period where it's just they take a break from the tournaments and they're just practicing, and then when it gets closer, when it gets into the summer, then they'll start running through the games and have all these tournaments throughout the year. Eventually, getting towards the end of the school year, where you get to around February, you know, probably January, February time frame, where they play in those big prefecture tournaments to try to see how good they are and how they match up with the other great teams in their prefecture, and see if they could play at the national tournament. And usually at the end of the year, when their school year ends in March, that's when they play that big tournament in Tokyo, and square off to see who are the best teams in Japan for the minibus program. So it's pretty interesting to hear that, and it's been quite nice for my coach and my friend to be able to share that with me, and I found that pretty fascinating. And it seems like Japan has a nice structure for their mini basketball program for the youth kids here, for them to develop and just enjoy basketball. It just feels, and it's nice to have that, to kind of have a well organized, structured program, at a national and a prefectural city level, where you could move your way up, and it's all structured in a way where you could determine like which programs have the best teams, and you could also structure like tournaments there, here and there, to see how well you compete against other people, and ultimately for the kids to just have fun and enjoy playing basketball. And it's nice to see that here in Japan, and it's not something that I've really known about, but I've come to know and kind of learned about kind of the youth basketball system here and how it runs. And personally for me, it seems pretty cool to be able to see that, and to see people here in Japan kind of have the same passion that I do, when it comes to growing up, uh, loving the game of basketball, and trying to get good, trying to get better, and just trying to have fun. And that really is for me. I just want to share, kind of the youth basketball system, and also for me to share, like, it's been nice for me personally to see that, and also to be back involved, where, for me, I'm just kind of like serving and just volunteering and just helping out in whatever like need that they have. And for me personally, it's just coaching practices in a way where it's just developing their skill level and like a player coach development type of coaching that I've been doing, just to help these teams develop their skill individually and to help them just get become better basketball players. So that's actually been really nice to be a part of, and I've really been enjoying the whole process of it. And it's just for me to have fun, and also uh, that sentiment to be passed down to the kids for them to just also have fun. Also it's good to work hard and try to get better and try to improve, because that's also very motivating and very encouraging, and it really gives kids confidence when they work hard and they see themselves progress and get better. And that's part of being like a human being, right? When you live on this earth, when you live in this life, it's all about progression and trying to get better while at the same time trying to enjoy it. And that's something that for me personally growing up, I wasn't the best at. It's not something that I was good at doing, like just enjoying it and also working hard. And so I just want the kids to just have fun playing basketball and just enjoy what they're doing when they come in at practice every day. Just enjoy it and just have fun, and at the same time look to always get better and improve. And so yeah, that's been very enjoyable. I'm really happy to see that even in Japan that people do have a love for the game of basketball, and it's nice to share that with the kids and also fellow coaches here. And so I just want to share a little bit about that and share about what it's been like, what the mini best system has been like, just to enlighten you guys, for those in other places of the world, what kind of the youth basketball scene is here in Japan. And so I've been enjoying it. It's been really good. It's been pretty educational for me to kind of see all that. And yeah, I'm just happy to be back in a familiar place that I've been so used to growing up. And so yeah, that's that with that video, and that's the scene here, and that's my experience with the Japanese youth basketball program. So hopefully that shed some light on what the basketball scene here is like. And if you haven't already, if you want to support me and like videos like this, please drop that subscription, click on the like, on the thumbs up, hit that notification button, if you want to be notified on any uploads. So appreciate the support, and see you guys on the next one.